Welcome to the Story a Day podcast. This is Julie Duffy, encouraging you to be a writer today, not someday. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's Julie from the Story a Day podcast, continuing our theme this month of triumph, all about success. I've been talking this year about the writer code. It's WRITER. Don't forget the last letter there. It's write, refine, improve, triumph, engage, and repeat. These are stages and sort of a framework that you can put in your writing so that you always know what you need to be doing at any one point. In every stage of your writing, all of these things are going to apply. But if you're ever stuck for what to do next, you can use the framework to figure out what you want to work on today, what you want to work on this week, and use it to figure out the parameters of what you want to do and how to stop getting overwhelmed. So this month I'm talking about the T of the writer code, triumph. Last week I talked about how to figure out what success looks like for you and what success looks like for now. It's important not to worry too much about what other people define as success, and it's important not to worry too much about what you think is like an ultimate dream of success, because every day that we sit down at our desks, we need to find a way to enjoy ourselves. We need to find a way to entertain ourselves. We need to find a way to finish our writing session feeling like we're successful, like we have done the thing that most makes us the person we are supposed to be. So I talked about that last week, and hopefully you managed to think about some of the things that look like success to you. For me, it's just making myself work on fiction. I do a lot of writing that's non-fiction. I do a lot of stuff for Story a Day. I love it, but I also love fiction. So one of the things that I try and do is every morning when I get together with the Superstars group and we sit in a Zoom room and we just write together, if I can dedicate some of that time to writing fiction, then I feel set up for the day. I feel like that was a massive win and I feel great. And I take the time to actually congratulate myself for that. I don't take it for granted. Even though I have this standing appointment 5 days a week with the Superstars, I have to get up out of bed, I have to make myself presentable, turn on my camera and start up a Zoom room and set a timer, and I could just sit there doing nothing. So even though I'm actually there, I take time to really congratulate myself when I get some work done. Whether some days it is non-fiction, and that's great. Some days it's fiction, and I make a point of really celebrating. So what does a celebration look like, and why does it matter? Well, if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you will have heard me talk about BJ Fogg and his behavioral methodology. He's a Stanford researcher. He's got a book called Tiny Habits. He's got a whole methodology called the Fogg Behavioral Method. And I talked about it in episode 151. I explained the intersection of the motivation, your ability, a prompt, and the behavior that you want to do. This is his method for getting you to create a new habit or stick to a habit or replace an old habit with a better habit. So I talked about that in episode 151. If you want to hear that framework, you can go back and find that episode. But one of the things that's a little bit further on in his methodology for making habits stick is this idea of celebration and what he talks about as shine. And I mentioned this last week. He was looking for a word in English which captures that like woohoo feeling when you've done the thing that you wanted to do. You know, when you have, it's a quote attributed to Dorothy Parker. I'm not sure it's really her, but whatever. She, whoever it was, said, "I hate writing. I love having written." I kind of know what she means. I actually, a lot of the time I really enjoy the process of writing, but it can be torture. But you always feel great at the end of a writing session. You might feel wrung out, you might feel exhausted, but you always feel great, right? And there wasn't a word in English that BJ Fogg found for that. So he said, let's use shine, because you feel that shine when you've done the thing that you wanted to do. So it's very important as part of his habit system, I guess, for teaching yourself to do a new habit, to build not just prompts, not just to increase your ability to do it, not just to provide reminders, not just to do it for 66 days or whatever people tell you you're supposed to do it for, but every time you take a step towards doing the thing, celebrate. So that's what I want to talk about this week. I'm not talking about when you finish your novel, you have a drink of whatever you like, whether it's tea or whether it's a single malt, and you celebrate the fact that you've finished a novel. That's not what I'm talking about. You can do that. That's entirely up to you. You want to go out and buy a pint of ice cream and eat it all, not very healthy, but you don't finish a novel every day, so I'm not going to judge. I'm talking about the everyday celebrations. So, for example, when I sit down in the morning, if I do my writing first thing, I will celebrate that. It can be as simple as saying to the Superstars group, I worked on my novel this morning, or I worked on my story this morning, and I just feel great. And they'll go, yay. It might be as simple as saying to myself, well done you. I am not the most organised person in the world, and there are times when I can beat myself up about that. So when I come in and I put my keys in the special bowl by the front door that I put there to catch my keys, I am not above saying to myself, thank you, Julie, and patting myself on the shoulder. And when I find my keys in that bowl the next time I'm running inevitably late for an appointment, I am not above saying, thanks, past Julie, to myself for the fact that I overcame my bad habit of just walking around with my keys and dumping them anywhere. And I want you to think about that in your writing life too, because I'm not making this up. It's got like solid behavioural science behind it. Doing a little celebration whenever you take an action that gets you closer to your goals will lay down pathways in your brain that make you want to do the right thing again. So, what does a celebration look like? It's, first of all, when should you do a celebration? Anytime you take an action that gets you closer to your goals. So what does that look like? It's not just when you sign with an agent. It's not just when you finish a novel, or it's not just when somebody announces a book tour for you. Of course it's not, because these things don't happen every day. What does happen every day is you taking actions that get you closer to your goals. So if you put a writing date on your calendar, pat yourself on the back and say, awesome, you did a good thing there. If you open your work in progress and look at yesterday's writing pages, say, I'm a writer, out loud or to yourself. Depends who's in the room with you, depends on your tolerance for people giving you weird looks, but say or think, I'm a writer. And when you say that, you reinforce that idea in your brain. Anytime you sit down at your desk and you open up your work, grin like an idiot. It makes you feel good. And then next time you'll associate sitting down at your desk with grinning like an idiot and feeling good. If you meet your word count goal for the day, give yourself a gold star. Literally, go online and order yourself some gold stars. Go to the store, find some shiny, glittery gold stars. Get the puffy ones, whatever makes you happy, and put them on your calendar, in your journal. I put them on my calendar, and then everybody in my house can see them. And if there isn't a sticker on the calendar for that day, my teenager will ask me why there isn't a sticker on the calendar that day. That's not so much, that's kind of more like the boot camp drill sergeant thing, but it gives an extra layer of accountability. Putting the sticker on the calendar itself makes me feel good. So maybe when you've written your first 25 words of the day, you draw a little star in the margin just to say, congratulations, well done you. Maybe when you have written 750 words and it's starting to flow, you stretch, you do a little dance, you sing that song from when you were 16 and in love for the first time, and you sing that song makes you happy. Maybe when you post your accountability goals at the Swagger site at Story a Day on the 1st of the month, you get to punch the air and say, yes! Maybe you do like the Winston Churchill victory V's. Maybe you channel the Fonz and go, "Ay," with your thumbs up. Anytime you do any little thing, if you brainstorm your way through a sticking point in your plot, if you finish a story or a scene, if you start a new story or a scene, if you check in with your accountability buddy, start up your computer, pick up your favourite pen, especially if you do something big, like send out a story to a publication or receive a response, whether it's a rejection or an acceptance, or just feedback on your story, do something good for yourself. Put a sticker in your journal, make a happy face, punch the air, strike a pose, whatever you can do to make yourself feel good, and do it every time. Find the thing that makes you feel good and always do it when you do that thing. So if you always, after a writing session, close your laptop and do a little dance, do it every time, and you will start to associate those happy feelings with the little things you're doing that are taking you closer to your goal of being a writer. Be very specific. So I have for you a worksheet that you can download if you come over to the blog at storyaday.org/episode 176. You can download this worksheet where I'll give you these examples of how to get shine into your life. I will give you after I, and I'll give you 20 examples of things that you could use as triggers for celebrations. And then I'll give you 20 examples of things you could do as celebrations. And then I want you to take that worksheet. I want you to print it out or save it as a PDF and use your stylus, or just open up your journal and write, or open up a document. I don't care how you do it, but I want you to actually write down triggers. So after I open up my laptop, after I open my work in progress, after I write the first 25 words of the day, whatever it is that comes up for you, and then write "I will," and figure out what you can do. If it's something goofy, do something goofy. If it's take a big deep breath and breathe in light and breathe out sadness, whatever it is that you do, like say a prayer, do a dance, whatever you can do that makes you feel happy, come up with a whole bunch of them. And they can be goofy, and they can be tiny, and they should possibly be things you can do without props. So it's good to have stickers as an award, but it might be even better to have just doodling a star in the margin of your notebook, because you have those things to hand. Like if you lose your stickers and can't give yourself a sticker immediately after you do the thing, then it's not going to have the same impact as if you do something that you can do immediately. So maybe it's clapping your hands, because you always have your hands with you, right? Assuming you have hands, you always have hands with you. If it's doing a little dance, you always have the body that you can do a little dance in. So try and make it as prop free as possible. There's no cost involved in any of these celebrations. Just think of things you can do that will make you feel maybe a little silly, but also happy. I know I'm going on. There's a reason for why I'm going on about it, because it's important, it works, it's scientifically sound, and we can all use a little happiness, a little more happiness, and a little more creativity in our lives. And this gets you both. A little more creativity, a little more happiness. So come on over to the blog, storyaday.org/episode 176. And you can download that handout. And if you've enjoyed this episode, tell a friend, send me a comment. Leave a comment on the blog. Tell me if you already do celebrations, what do you do? If you do them consistently, how did you get in the habit of that? If you do them occasionally, how are you going to get yourself in the habit of doing that? Really want to hear from you, and I will definitely read all the comments and respond if you leave me a comment there. All right, that is week 2 of our Triumph theme at Story a Day. I'll be back next week with more. There are 10 years worth of writing prompts at the Story a Day site there. So while you're there, have a look around at the site, find a writing prompt and write a story this week, why don't you? Tiny little story will make you feel triumphant. It'll give you a break from the larger writing you're doing. If you keep it short, it will be manageable and you can finish it, and finishing will give you a huge dose of that shine that we were just talking about. So have a browse around at the site, find yourself a prompt, set a timer, use the short story framework, just get some writing done this week because you have so much to say. Your voice is important and the world needs your stories. Thanks for listening. Why not come over to the blog at storyaday.org and check out this week's writing prompts and articles. And in the meantime, have a great creative week and of course, keep writing.